Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and we're going to keep going from the last episode because, like I said, I felt like I was on a roll, so I wanted to keep going. So now what I need to do, as I said, implement these, except that they will only be initters. We don't need the gets emitted with them as well. There we go. Okay. So that will go over here. And I bet we can do it very similarly like I did here. So now what I want to do is a write lines, except not that. We want that. Okay. But that is going to be the indexer. See, this is where in version 3, the idea that I have is that things like this where I keep doing get fully qualified name, I know I'm going to need that, so put it somewhere and cache it so that if I have to use that again, I've only done it once. You know, it just makes sense. So in this case, this will be different because these are not in, these have to be done like this. Okay. So what we want here is a string.join that, nope. That, except here we don't want the keys. We do not want the keys. Or do we? The thought went through my head because the key ends up looking like this. And yes, we need to actually preserve the name. So that's right. So we want to say here, indexer parameters select, and again I'm going to make a P. Okay, except we're going to do that because that closes that off, this, and then we got that. Okay, so now what we need in here is the name, the type name, and the name. Well, that ain't right because this is in the string within the, this can really get hairy, can't it? So we want the parameters type get fully qualified name. Okay. And then we just want the p dot name there. Okay. So that's where we're going to be putting around all the commas. That's where the this goes. That's the return. And now we don't need the getter. We just need this, except this is going to be I. And this won't be the indexer key. So as I've just found out, I don't need the indexer key. I just need the indexer. Because here, what I'm going to say is, yes. Yes. I do, but not from the thing I did before, indexer parameters. If the length is equal to 0, we're going to do what we did before. This is the key. The key is just going to be the indexer parameters of 0 name. Else, what it's going to be is a string join. Well, yeah, but we want that, and then we're going to pull that over because that, and then in here we're going to say string join of that, and then indexer parameters select p dot name there, and that should do the select there. We want to then do the join there, and that's the whole thing there, and then that's what's going to go into here, except like that. There. So we've done the public that, I mean, I guess, are we doing this as a, yeah, we're doing it as an internal. We could, because that's a private. This is explicitly implemented. So is that. We could also make this an internal because this type is only for this thing. Okay, that's good. So now we've got the return, we got the this. The this is going to be all of the types and parameter types, parameter names, comma separated, because that's what goes into here. And that's not like a tuple or anything. But then down here, because we did this above, we either just pass in the name or we pass in as a tuple the names, because that's what's going to go into the dictionary and that's what we're going to set. Okay. So we have the constructor parameter properties done. Now what we need to do is, okay, I just got a little confused here. Oh yeah, I replaced this because it's possible you could give me a parameter in a constructor from the object, the mock that we're building, that would be called constructor property. So we have to say replace this part here with that. And so that, and we take the builder. There was a reason I did this. I'm not just making crap up. There's a reason I did this. And I think it's because in the constructor, that's a syntax that you need to create, I think. Because we've already emitted to the main writer the constructor properties, but we had to add in all the implementation for this stuff there. So that's correct. So now we come down into here. And if we're saying if it's naming context constructor properties, yes. Because I'm betting somewhere down here, yes, we have to now say either we throw or we take that whole initialization syntax. Sorry, this is taking me for a spin. Which this is in the instance method. Right, this is not in the, well, that just threw a glitch into this. Yeah, I didn't, oops. My experiment, I can still do this. Too close not to doing it. Which is, the mock itself doesn't get constructor properties. It still just gets the, so what I need to, oh no, oh no, oh no. Yeah, this is going to take some deconstructing because the actual constructors themselves, if I go into my constructor builder, this has nothing to do with the constructor builder, the constructor properties. Those have already been set. Well, not have already, but it's in the instance method that we are setting all those values in an object initializer. And I think this is probably what threw me at first. Oh no. Oh no. And I did it this way because I just hit a major brick wall in this one. Shoot. Damn it. I was going so well, and I think I realized why I can't do this, at least with the design that I have right now. And the reason why is because at this point, that's all happening outside. Like the constructor builder is one spot. That's the test. This is the thing that's building the instance methods. And then you get into the type builder. Well, we have to be able to construct it. So there's these constructor builders. Well, the constructor builder, that doesn't know diddly about what the instance passed into. All it's assuming is that you're going to get the first parameter being these expectations. And then the rest of it are all of the fields that are from the base, if there are any. That's where this comes in. That's parameters, and that's why if we pass in an empty, we don't do any of that. The problem is, and I think I'm going to have to do this off camera, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to do this, but I'm going to have to stop because otherwise it's going to be so much delicate. Well, I got a little bit of time. I don't know. Maybe I should just do this here. But here's the thought that just went through my head is what I'm going to have to do is basically take this stuff that I've been doing here, okay, and actually do that in the constructor, right? And so the constructor properties object still has to be passed into the instance method. That we still do, okay? And we're still going to do what we're doing down here, which is we do a new mock with the rock instance parameters. Except here with the rock instance parameters, we're passing in self. That's the expectations. Okay. And what we need to do is actually pass in the self and if the constructor properties exist, those as well. Same thing here. So this actually has to be popped out to say context parameters because, you know, those have to come through. These have to come through parameters. And then that would just be passed in here because those always have to come along. And then you pass in the parameters as necessary, okay? Except this part here, you don't need to worry about the syntax length stuff. That would actually go into the constructor itself. And then in there, you can do something like a little bit cleaner because you could say like this dot name of property is equal to this thing that I've been trying to set up here. Like all of this could now be done in a way such that it's like, I don't have to make a separate string builder. I don't have to worry about the naming thing. I can just do it in each constructor, which either I'm doing it in the instance method or I'm doing it in the constructor, one or the other, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because this is the initialization syntax. And we are also, so we're going to still have to do this here. We're going to still have to do a, yeah, that's what I missed before is this regular life. This will actually be better because this will, right now I feel like these two things are mixed together a little bit. And like even me coming back to it, I think in the previous episode, I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? So this will be better because this will just write out the needed stuff here. Like this required init property, that's just from the property, that's just from the property, and the property assignment will comes from that. And we can recalculate that as needed, except we don't need that for the writer.write line. Like we need that, we need that, we need that, and we need that. We don't need this property assignment. That comes into what would now be in the constructor. So a little bit of surgery is needed here. But I think it's for the right cause, and I think it's for the right reason. So let's just spend the rest of the time doing this. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to comment this out first. It's going to cause some errors, and we'll get back to those in a moment. But I want to do, because I have to do this again. Okay. So we're going to do this, except we don't need to do that. We need to say is required. So that stays. Property type name, that stays. Property nullability, that stays. But I don't think we need property assignment. I think that will be fine. That can go away. And property nullability, that can go away as well. No, it can't. Can has required properties go away? I don't know, can it? What was has required properties been used for? Oh, we're passing it into there. So yes, we do still need that. I think. Maybe? Possibly? I don't know. Like, has required properties is doing what? Oh, that determines if what you're passing in is null, right? Yeah, and that, so we still need that. Okay, yep, that we need. But we do not need this here anymore. Okay? And I believe the reverse is true. Like, we're not going to need has required properties when we're doing these assignments. Okay? And I believe we can get rid of that. So now we're printing out the actual variables, or not variables, but properties into constructor. Yeah. Yes. Right. Correct. Sure. If we were doing that, this is just a nicety neat thing. I want to put in a writer.write line that just puts space in between these things. Now we're going to print out the actual properties, but we don't need to keep any of this stuff around. Okay. We do need that though. Okay. And you're going to go, why? Well, we can get rid of this. Okay. Because what are we passing into? Well, yeah, we were using that as a, dang it. We were using that as a trigger to say, well, did you actually, fine. Shut up. My stomach is just growling like no tomorrow. Required initialization. So we can say that, we can put that there. If that's just true, then we need to have this constructor properties thing here with the naming context of constructor properties. Otherwise, we don't put that in there. And again, the context here is that this is the instance extension method. Okay. This is where I have these fun, funky, things, which is, oh, that is the self parameter. Okay. So I've already done that here. Good. So I'm passing in whether you have just expectations or expectations and constructor properties. Okay, good. That's all coming down here. Rock instance parameters needs to also be, I can't think of a better parameters is equal to if required init initialization, then if we do need this, then it means we have to pass in self, right? But then we also need the naming context of constructor properties. Otherwise, it's just this. It'll be just that. Okay. Great. That is what's actually going to be passed into here. Yes. Okay. So those are going to now be passed into the constructor. If you required object initialization, oh, no. What was, if not, yes, get your, okay, so if, yeah, and if it was, we need to do that. Yes, okay. I have to keep reading over this because I know I'm going to miss something somewhere. I probably already have when I edit this video. So these context parameters are going into the rock instance. If we haven't created an instance already, we're going to set on the self that the instance was true. And now we're going to make a new rock passing in all the instance parameters based on whether we need self or constructor properties. We can move this up now. We can put here now, and we can say here, just return, okay? And then here, we're going to say, if you required this, then we're going to do that. Except we don't need to do that here. The only thing we need to say here is if it was required that you have properties, constructor properties, then we need to throw this exception, okay? So what we can do here is say if that, and now we'll say something like if that is null, then we're going to do 20 thoughts are going through my head and I need them to shut up because otherwise I'm going to do this completely wrong. If, then we do this, okay? And that can actually be pushed up even farther. Which is if you had to give me required properties, we're going to just throw constructor properties was null. You didn't give me any and you were supposed to do that, okay? I don't even care if you've invoked another like mock or not. That doesn't matter to me, okay? And then we're going to do that. Okay, so in the good world, yeah, all of this now goes away. At least here, we're going to have to come back to it, okay? So what we're saying is we come in, we've got all of our parameters, all the instance parameters. Where in the world did those come from? Those are the self parameters. Because that's going to be on the instance static, okay. And now we come in here and we say the first thing we're going to do is say if your constructor properties are null in the case that they shouldn't be, we're going to throw an exception, okay? Now, the rest of it is if we haven't done an instance invoke, we've got 1, 0, 1, 0. We're screwed up. No, that's because of up top there. Okay. Because that's with that. Okay. And we could arguably just put all of this. Yeah, we don't want to say return. That would be really bad. That. Okay. And now we can get rid of that. So the naming context itself was that we return a new rock with the flattened name of all the instance parameters, which we've calculated up there before, which will contain the constructor properties as well. Else, we say we can only create a new mock instance, and this closes out. Okay, now I'm at time. So in the next episode, what I'm going to have to do is come back up here and basically figure out how do I do this along with the indexer initialization within the constructor itself. Okay, so tune in next time for that. I think that I think I've got this all handled now, except this bit. Oh yeah, that I can just do by saying, is this greater than 0? That's a simple check. Okay, so that I will say there, and then I think that should shut you up. Yes, and that should shut you up. Yes. Okay, cool. So cool. Now we'll just have to come into constructor builder and figure out, well, do you have any indexers that need to be initialized? And if you do, then a parameter is going to come in with this name. And all sorts of good fun stuff. Yeah, that's just great. Oh, crap, did I not? Oh, I did, because it's now in the build, and I've moved it up to here. to say it's constructor because I wasn't passing those in before. And the context parameters need to have constructor. Yes. Okay. I know I am almost guaranteed that I have forgotten something. And I'm probably going to look at all this off camera before. In the next episode, though, I want to finish this out. In the next episode, I will come into here and say, okay, somewhere in here, I'm going to have to now turn this off to say it's no longer going to do this, because we can't just assume that the build field setters are going to be and if I have constructor properties, or I don't, or if I have the field setters in the right way and I don't, and it can get really ugly. Like all this is, I don't even understand. Like build field setters, this is saying right line, and then I bet that, oh, those are string. Oh yeah, but that's all one, because that's one line of code. That's right. And we do the build field setters this way because so we can keep all of this. We're just going to have to change this to be putting like a block around it. But the way this is being done right now is fine. We just need to put another spot at the bottom here to say, oh, you don't need mock type anymore? Huh, okay, fine. You can go away. Why not? Get rid of that. Get rid of that because you don't want it. Do we need the mock type name anyway? I'm sure we do. Yeah, okay. So down here is where I could now put in to say this code, which is in the mock, which is this for each on the constructor properties that we are given, cast it right, and then set on this the constructor properties. That will be for the next episode. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.